So originally I wanted to sign up for the digital media class, but after talking to my advisor as a freshman, we actually decided that I like to write more and I wanted to try out journalism instead in the actual writing. So I enrolled in the journalism writing and reporting class, and after I took that semester class, I went onto the news production staff, and I've loved it ever since. It's my 4th year of being on staff and I've really just been enjoying it here. So yeah. The first real story that was actually published that I wrote, it wasn't anything too extraordinary. It was a feature story on a cross-country player who had just won Gatorade Player of the Year, or Athlete of the Year. Probably, I'm definitely the most proud of my Think About That Drink article. It was selected for the Best of Snow, but I'm proud of it not just because of that, but because it was my first article that made me realize I like to write a more in-depth in research, because this is an article talking about benefits but also negative side effects to energy drinks in youth and in students and athletes. And yeah, I think that writing that article and really going so in-depth into this topic made me realize that this is kind of a style of writing that I like to focus on. So that's the one I'm definitely the most proud of. It was definitely very shocking. I never really write in order to get awards, but only. So it was definitely like a surprise for me, and it was definitely a very nice feeling. And I was very excited. But it just kind of, I think what it did, it made me motivated to write even better in the future because my work was being recognized, so. I think the best way I cope with tight deadlines is, first of all, I know this is a little bit counterintuitive, but I like to reinforce that you need to preserve your mental health and your well-being. If you are not in a very good mental headspace, then your deadlines won't meet themselves at all. I think that taking breaks, taking rest, taking your weekend off, even just for a little bit, will help you meet those deadlines. I also am a firm believer in lists. I think they clear up at least they clear up my mind. If I put all of my like thoughts onto paper and list them out into most important to least important, it definitely makes it a lot easier for me to meet deadlines and do assignments and stories. Well, as someone who always was kind of a perfectionist and in this kind of achievement culture amongst other students, I have definitely burnt out before, and my mental health was in a worse state than it is now. And I didn't realize how important it is to actually be in a good mental space in order to actually enjoy what you're doing, because there was a point where I was like struggling to enjoy all of the things I was doing, like tennis and journalism, and I realized I just wasn't taking enough breaks. And yeah, so I'm a very firm believer in always taking breaks and putting yourself first. I think my favorite memory on staff would be traveling to destinations together. It really strengthens our bond, especially because we have such a small staff. Especially like going to Media Now, the journalism camp over the summer as a team. It really strengthened our bond because we were taking classes together, but we were also hanging out in like dorms together and hanging out in like a little study hall together, and we were working together. So that's definitely probably my favorite memory. I really liked my Media Now experience. I went 2 years in a row. I went the summer of my junior year and the summer of my senior year. This summer, so the summer of my senior year, I enrolled in a intensive course, editorial leadership, where I learned kind of all the necessary steps on being a good leader, how to build connections with your staff members and reporters. It was a very good experience. I met a lot of new people, and I still keep in touch with them to this day. I love my teacher. She really advocated for me and being a leader. Yeah, and I liked the assignments as well. I think it was very engaging. Outside of news, I am I love playing tennis. I'm a competitive tennis player and I play on my varsity team. I compete and I train, but I also use tennis to help others. I collect gently used tennis equipment to give to anybody in need. And I also run a small tennis program for children with disabilities, kind of giving them an inclusive space to thrive in the sport and feel included. So yeah, tennis is probably the big outside of journalism thing I do. What inspired me? I think what inspired me was, well, it was the day I was donating some rackets to an organization called Keene St. Louis, and this is a nonprofit organization empowering children with disabilities through sports. And I was donating some tennis rackets, and I actually found out that they didn't have a tennis program within their organization. They had like soccer, they had dance, they had swimming, but they didn't have a tennis program. And I guess in that moment, I realized this is something I wanted to do, especially I think the moment that really sealed this decision for me was when I was donating my rackets there. It was still that same day, and a young boy came up and picked up a racket, and I played with him for a little bit. There was no tennis courts, obviously, but there was only a few rackets and a ball. And I later on found out that that boy hasn't fixated on an activity for this long before, even if it was 5 minutes. And this really sparked this like, tennis could be kind of a tool, an opportunity, a tool for inclusion, a tool for creativity. So that's how and why I decided to start it. It was a very lengthy journey. I spent the whole summer of, I spent the whole summer of my junior year, like making sure that, prepping for the first clinic, and had it, and then it got so much attention. It was very liked by all the kids that now I turned into like a program, a monthly program. So yeah.